Welcome to the Living Consciously TV show. We're coming to you live from our Denver, Colorado studio, and this is the Living Consciously TV show. And we are actually, most of our cast is right here in Denver, Colorado, and I'm going to start introducing them to you. And the very first person on my right is Jim Gillette, and he is coming from San Antonio, Texas, and he's part of our spirituality cast. So welcome, Jim, to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And next to Jim, we have Jamie Lerner, and she's coming to us from Chicago, Illinois, and she's part of our self-growth cast. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right. And right next to me, Helen Kerrison, and she's coming to us from Brussels, Belgium, and she's also part of our self-growth cast. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Steve.
Welcome. So let me also introduce to you the people, the cast members that are on on our Skype. And we have Ninon de Rosa on the right, and she is our self-growth cast member as well, and coming to us from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Hi, gang. How are you? good to be with you.
We're doing great. Thank you for being here. And then we also have to her left Jane Eileen Cohn, and she is part of our spirituality cast, and she's coming to us from San Diego. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And our theme today actually is evolution, evolution of consciousness, and what we have gone through as the cast from the very beginning of our show, which we started back in February of 2011, right? And now we're into our third, I'm going to say third year, but it's really not. It feels like 3 years. But it's actually our third season, episode 1. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to begin with what the cast has gone through behind the scenes in season 2. And we have certainly gone through a lot. We do what's called we have pillar shows every month where we take things a little bit deeper. We really peel that onion as deep as we can. But what we're also doing as cast members is we get into the work ourselves by picking one of the 7 areas of life balance and putting ourselves through the 13 weeks of either health, self-growth, or any of the other areas of life balance. And what we chose for season 2 was relationships. So I would like to ask any of the cast members to share something that you feel like sharing right now about what season 2 meant to you, and how did you grow, what did you learn, and where are you today?
It was growth for me, definitely. It was enlightening. It was just wonderful sharing all the knowledge and the feelings and the emotions that came up during the season. And that for me was one of the highlights of the season, was to feel the shift between us and how we connected differently, and how actually it wasn't always smiles, and we didn't always agree with each other. And,
right.
and that was good. It's the way we sort of interact with each other was really, really fun.
So would you say that we created some safety in season 2?
Yeah, I think so. I think you have to feel safe to be able to express yourself. If you're not in a safe place, you don't express yourself.
Right.
I think it was amazing what happened in season 2, how we all started sort of, after season 1, understanding and learning about each other and who we are, and not being afraid to really go into those dangerous areas of might being able to touch a spark off. And we all managed to get through it. And yes, we had our ups and downs, absolutely. But that's part of life. And when you think of, when we say friends, we use the word loosely as friends, but you really don't know somebody until you really know them a little while. And I think that's what we've all got to sort of understand each other a little bit more, and learning where our deeper selves are and who we are. And I think it was just amazing, especially you, Steve. I think you really, really came out, and your questions are getting really 100%.
All right, thank you, Ninon. So I'm going to actually ask each one of you as cast members to finish this sentence for our viewers. And the question is, one observation I have made about the cast is, and your answer could be directed to a specific cast member or the entire cast as a group. So why don't you start, Jane?
Okay. An observation is that it seems to me that each cast member is really devoted to their own self-growth. They're inner directed. so that it's not just following the leader, not just following Steve, but being sort of catalyzed. It's like we're catalyzing each other because each person is coming from that inner-directed place of looking for truth, looking for personal growth.
Awesome. What about you, Ninan?
I think it's changed myself a lot, and understanding and going a little bit deeper. And I do agree with Jane that we're obviously concentrated on ourselves because that's really all we have. And sort of acknowledging and finding out what's going on with other people and how they are, and then being directly with a cast every week and sort of understanding where they're going and what you're doing. And I find myself actually looking at this every day, not just looking at it at the show. I look at it and I see how I approach people and how different, and I've really changed a lot, I hope.
I want to say one other thing, more specific about somebody. Can I?
You can do whatever you want.
There's sort of an interaction that keeps happening between me and Jamie, which I find extremely interesting, and that we're coming from sort of opposite directions, and we sort of bump up against each other, but there's something really deep and potentially transformational. Both of us are very, very passionate about where we're coming from, and I really look forward to deepening that conversation, that really present moment live, passionate, getting to some deeper truth that both of us are sort of bringing up in each other.
All right, awesome. All right, so finish the sentence, Jim. One observation I made about the cast in season 2 is?
Well, what I found, and I came onto the season a little, as it was already in progress, is it was for me sort of like coming home. Because even though I've been working on this type of work for many, many years, my career was in business. So I wasn't quite used to being around in a group such, dedicated people and open, and yes, they provided us safety. So I've been feeling pretty free to see what I can come up with and try to be honest and complete as I interact. So actually what I would say about the cast is they've been very welcoming, and I can see each one's an individual working on their own thing, and I appreciate the way that I've been accepted.
All right, fantastic. All right, what about you, Jamie?
What I've really enjoyed is the level of deeper connection that we've all established with one another, and I think that we have learned to trust ourselves more and trust each other, and that has really changed the interaction between ourselves and how our shows are going and how we're able to share ourselves with the viewers. So that's been quite exciting for me.
All right, awesome. And you, Helen?
You're going to ask me, aren't you? I knew. There's one word that came to me just now, and it was love. That's what I feel. Yeah. I think it feels like love, and it's really, really special.
It is.
All right, very cool. All right, so I'd like to continue the show, I'd like to acknowledge each one of you for your contribution to this point, Season 1 and Season 2. And I'd like to individually acknowledge you, and I'm going to start with you, Helen. So Helen, who you are to me is someone that's really keeping it real. And what I mean by that is that you really stay connected, and you have clarity. And when I'm thinking about this entire industry of self-growth, and you have some other shows that you participate in, but I feel that every time I see you and see you in action, is you show up, like your entire being shows up. And I'm connected to you, and I know you're connected to me, and you're connected to the viewers. And that's just an awesome experience that I have when you're really keeping it real. So,
thank you.
Thank you. So if you, I would like to request if you would, so in order for you to be this magnificent person of keeping it real, like if that's who you are, and that's what I believe who you are, what does it take in terms of your life? And would you be willing to share something from your life? Because it had to be, you had to have challenges to become, what I almost call like, you are a mastery of keeping it real, and you even have a PhD in keeping it real. What are some of the challenges? Can you share one?
The challenge for me was speaking up. The challenge for me has always been about taking myself away from the small little girl inside, the small little girl who could never actually say what she felt and what she meant, the small little girl who felt ridiculed often, the small little girl who was made fun of at school, who had enormous eyes for the size of her face and who had teeth that used to stick out, and who felt very, very different.
Can you share a specific example?
Specific example. I suppose for me it was probably when I got divorced. It was probably, for me, I think, one of the most difficult things I had to do, but at the same time, the easiest. That sounds a bit strange. You know, once I made the decision and I spoke up for myself and I'd decided that's what I wanted, it was easy. But getting to that point, you know, of the guilt, of all the things people were saying, of how I should be happy because I had everything. I had a loving husband, I had 2 wonderful kids, a beautiful house. Why wasn't that enough? You know, and often there were times in my life when it wasn't enough, but I said nothing. And this was probably the first time that I actually said, hang on a minute, this is about me. This isn't about the house or the children or my husband. This is about me. And I did it.
Wow.
And
congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. It was a while ago now, but yeah, I'm thankful that I got there.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
All right, so moving on to Jamie. So Jamie, who you are for me, is somebody that represents pleasure itself. So anytime I see you on the show, or I speak with you on the phone, any interaction that I have with you, what I'm connected to, is what pleasure feels like and what it looks like. And that's just amazing, because I love pleasure in many different forms, and you certainly remind me of that. So to have a PhD in pleasure, like how you got to that, could you share a specific example from your life that was challenging?
I think from a very early age, it was clear to me that I did not have a connection with my mother. And I would feel so good within myself and look to her for that to be reinforced, and it was not there. And there was a pivotal moment where I had to make a decision to stay connected to myself and to not be dependent on my mother to get that connection within me. And so that was the beginning of my internal commitment to myself, to feel good and not to be dependent on others to sustain that feeling. So that is something I've practiced for a very long time, and I feel like in many ways I continue to practice it every day. I see it as a choice, but it's a wonderful choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Well, thank you for sharing that. All right, so Jim, who you are to me is someone who's absolutely grounded. And what it reminds me of my years in corporate America, when I may experience a CEO or a president where it doesn't matter what comes at you, you continue to stay grounded, stay calm. You don't get upset very easily. I think it takes a lot to get you upset. So you have that centering, that absolute groundness, and it feels awesome. And I'd like to take some of that sometimes when I fly off the handle, and to remind myself that, hey, if Jim can do it, I can do it. So from your life, would you be willing to share a specific example with our viewers where it was challenging for you to be grounded?
You know, something I just thought of as we were starting these questions is something I haven't thought much about lately. But when I was, say, junior high and high school, I was a late developer. So I stayed short. A couple years passed where my buddies were getting taller. And I even had a band director who nicknamed me Stump. And so I had to live with being a really, I just wasn't developing, And it was terrible. With my personality, I tried to handle it like I could joke and I'd be easy to be around. But it planted in me a pretty deep insecurity. Now, that doesn't lead directly to what you're describing as being grounded, but I started having experiences and just had a massive universal experience in my early 20s. And at that point, I went to India. I began meditation. I started working on myself. and I said I wanted to regain my true identity. So the groundedness does come from daily meditation and daily practices to find my center. And then also I've done martial arts for 30 plus years, and lately mostly Tai Chi push hands, where I work constantly on staying grounded. That's the whole concept. And you can take forces coming in, you can be in harmony, and stay grounded all the time. So it's not so much like I've tried to be grounded, but that's the result of meditation and some of the martial arts practice.
All right, fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Jim. So moving on to Ninan de Verderosa in Las Vegas. Hi, Ninan.
Hi, how you doing? I love all those lovely answers. I'm learning more about everybody.
So who you are to me, Ninan, is someone who has this energy of celebrity, someone that works around high society, and almost like you have a good time and a great time and an expressive time 24/7. Like sometimes I don't even believe that you sleep.
As little as possible.
Like that you're always out there, and you just like a kid who doesn't want to go to bed. Okay, that's how I experience you. So would you be willing to share something from your life in order for you to become this mastery of a celebrity and in high society? I feel that you had to go through some challenging times in your life. Would you be willing to share with our viewers just one of those?
Well, yeah, because otherwise we could be here all day and all night and have for a whole long time. Yes, many of them actually, but I will focus on the one you want, which is probably, I was very shy as a child and always not really spoken to. My mother and father did not really, I was the middle child. I had 2 above, 2 below. And so I left home at 16, and I was so shy, and I just wanted what you described. I wanted the society of life. I don't know where I got that from or how it started, but this is what I strive for. But the problem was, is wherever I went, I was so shy. So I made it a point in my life to go to every place that gave me an embarrassment or I was shy about. And the places were a runway. I started modeling at a very, very young age. And they would ask me to do it because I was attractive and skinny, and I was all what they wanted as a model. And so I would get chosen, which was really great, but at the same time I was absolutely, totally petrified. So to do this, I had to get up there and I had to do my usual, the smile and the teeth and the whole bit, which I didn't know existed, but I did it anyway. And I used to try to not pretend there was no people out there, and there's like 300 or 400 people out there watching, and I'm like, it was so hard and so difficult. But I've done that all my life. When I felt I can't do something 100%, because for me it has to be 100%, then I just strive, and I get a lot of criticism. I get a lot of stuff because, people, unfortunately, when you're successful, they always try to find, the fly in the ointment, and they always try. But I've always avoided all that, and I've ended up a very positive person. Yes, society is definitely my life, and I thrive for that. But it was tough, very tough. And I say to my audience out there, if there's something you're embarrassed about you don't like, go ahead and do it. Just do it, and you'll get over it. It'll take a little while, but you'll get over it.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, Ninan. All right, and so we're moving on to Jane Eileen Cohen. So Jane, who you are to me, is someone that has managed to have a mastery in being fearless. So Jane, how I'm experiencing you a lot of times is that you will meet me head on, like you're not one of those people that will let me get off with anything that feels for you, that it's off for you. You will speak up. I can always count on you for if it's something that, I may even get activated on or by you, that you will not run away, you will meet me head on. So in order to have that kind of a mastery in life so that you are fearless and you can actually speak to people and be in their face, you must have had some challenges in your life. And I'd like you to share one of those challenges from your past, if you would.
Yeah, what I'd say is that I'm fearless about truth. I'm not fearless in other areas necessarily. I have plenty of fears like everybody else. But when it comes to truth and clarity, I'm like a tiger. And I think where that comes from is that as a child, things were very, very confusing for me. I couldn't really make sense of much, and I was pretty much just a passive follower, doing what other people said and letting what I would describe as other people define reality for me. And I just went along with it, and it didn't make much sense. To me, other people's definition of reality didn't make much sense, so I couldn't make much sense of life altogether. And I certainly wouldn't have challenged anybody because I didn't have any ground underneath from which to challenge anyone. And it probably culminated when I joined a spiritual community in my mid-20s that was very, very judgmental and very negative, and it was just a very, very difficult, intense experience where I was allowing my definition of, letting my definition of reality be defined by the spiritual leader of that community really put me in a place that was just horrendous, extremely painful. And I found myself having to defend myself, or just really bad things would happen. And so I started using my mind in a way that I hadn't before to get clarity. At first it was just to be able to defend myself. But then I realized that I could think pretty well, and that I could actually make sense of things from my own perspective. And I also learned what happens when you let an authority figure define reality for you rather than being in direct experience and figuring it out for yourself. So it was such an extreme situation that I really had to start defining reality for myself, and defining it from a positive perspective really was necessary just for me to survive emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So I went more and more in that direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jan. So, Jane, I'm sorry. All these J's are driving me nuts. All right, so before we move on to into a new conversation, which will be about what are we creating for Season 3, I feel like I'm just called to say a little bit about what this show is really about and what we are attempting to accomplish here. All right, so what the show is about really is to be able to show and have our viewers experience what consciousness looks like and what it feels like. And the way we're accomplishing that is by, of course, admitting to ourselves as the cast that we are human beings, and we are not 100% perfect. However, even our imperfections are just perfect. So what we do is we are ourselves learning through this process to tell the truth in the moment we feel somewhere in our bodies, and everybody feels this differently. Like I feel when I need to speak up or I need to say something, I feel it in my stomach. My stomach will contract, and it means to me that there is something I need to say, and if I don't say it, I feel that I'm ripping myself off, and I'm ripping everybody else off that I'm connected to. So what we're learning here is really tell the truth, our truth, in the moment when we feel it, instead of putting it under the carpet, which a lot of us, in my past, I love to do, and I don't do it anymore. And so this is how we are actually learning to live our lives in the present moment, because if we think about it, there's no guarantees that I'm going to wake up tomorrow. All there is the present moment. And if we stay in the present moment, then we are living consciously and we are being awake. And incredible things are possible, from this place. So what happens if we're not in the present moment? We're either living our present moment from our past or from the future. The past is past. It's gone. There's nothing we can do about it. The future hasn't happened yet. So why do they call it the present? Because it is a present.
Because it's a gift.
Yeah, it's a gift.
It's a gift.
So if we can not just help ourselves, but help the viewers and anybody that's really interested in living consciously, then from this place, when we actually see what we see in the world, and then we can feel it and allow it to be connected to that feeling, and then from that we can say our truth, and then do what we said, what we felt, and what we saw. What's possible is unlimited. And that's really all I had to say about that.
That's wonderful.
That's enough, I think.
That's more than enough. All right, so moving on to what are we creating for Season 3. So Season 2, what we did is relationships behind the scenes with the cast. So what we have chosen for season 3, we have chosen personal finance. Imagine that.
I'm already feeling the pain.
It just felt right. It just felt right, not only because it feels right for us, but because of what's happening out there in the world.
Yeah, good choice.
Yeah, there's a lot of issues going on with finance, and I think we all know that when we're talking about personal finance, it's really not about money.
No.
It's about something much deeper for us and for our viewers as well. So we're going to be, I think, really enjoying getting deeper and getting a deeper understanding of what is it really that's standing in our way of receiving everything there is to receive. And that's not just money, but, all good things. All right, so what I'd like to do next is if we could have, for example, Jim, if you could share something about what are you creating for yourself in season 3, and maybe what would you like to create for the theme?
Well, when you brought up the idea that it might be personal finance, I just immediately cringed on 2 levels. But one, my own personal finances, because I'm in a dip, and in a business career as an owner, I've had ups and downs. So, but I didn't think I was going to go through another one quite like this one. So I felt pain and anxiety immediately. Then I thought, oh wait, that's not something we can talk about. Well, that's another thing I guess I've been carried around since my parents told me don't ever
we don't talk about sex and money, do we?
Sex and money. I can talk about sex easier than I can talk about sex. I can talk about money when it's going well, but I don't like revealing the pain.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So then, quickly after that, I realized, and it's sort of like what Ninan said, I'm hesitant, so I've got to go forward. So I'm on board completely now, and I look forward to this because this is another avenue to our own personal freedom and our self-understanding and our growth. And it's an area that you don't usually use for this. And so I hope we can provide the viewers with stimulation and some observation opportunities that'll help them, get them started on a better understanding.
Right. So where would you like to be 13 weeks from now once we've gone through
13 weeks from now? Well, of course, I'd like for everyone...
Rich.
Yeah. Just enough to meet my monthly bills.
You'll settle for that?
Oh, yeah, but you don't know what my monthly bills are.
We're talking no
That
limit.
expands. That's right. That is no limit. No, I would like everyone on the cast and the staff and every viewer, of course, to have more abundance than they do now.
And to have
that we do now.
You have huge breakthroughs, yeah.
Oh yeah, huge breakthroughs. It would be a wonderful gratification to pull that off.
Okay, and what about you, Jamie? Thank you.
This is exciting for me because I think we have an opportunity to explore all the ways that we are resistant to receiving the abundance. And I think there's so many ways that we can discuss this and explore it. And I think at the end, I think that if we all feel more abundant, that will be the key, to actually bring in the abundance. And money is a resource, and you can do wonderful things with that resource. So just to create a new understanding around money.
Right. And Jamie is actually taking on doing this with the team. With the team for season 3, so
I'm going to try.
Thank you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, and what about you, Helen?
It was funny because when you said that, I looked over at Jim and I saw his face, and I thought I felt exactly the same way. I had this sort of panic, about money and finances, and it's pretty much the same evolution. Yeah. That initial feeling, and then thinking, okay, well, breathe. Right. This, you can get through this.
It will be okay.
It will be okay. And knowing, because you know what the thing is, you can know intellectually what to do. You can know all about energy and attraction and abundance and all the rest, but it's not, unless you're actually doing it, unless you're actually connected to it and feeling it and doing it, nothing is going to change. Right. And so it's like, for me, the key is from taking it out of your head and saying, yes, I understand that and all the rest, and why isn't it making a difference to my finances? Taking it out of your head and actually doing things and putting things in place. That can then bring that abundance.
I believe it. And I would just say that since we had this discussion an hour or two ago, until now, I'm already having more freedom and a lightness because I can already see that's something I was hiding. Because I had this self-image of, a successful business owner. And
I had that image of you.
Yeah.
It's gone now. It's gone.
Thank you.
I still hold that
Jamie,
image of you.
You know what?
Yes,
I do
thank
too.
you.
I do too.
You pretended well. You pretended well.
Yeah. I just have to put it back together. Now, I've already been through this once, so I have a lot of confidence. I just have to put it back together again.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it, and we'll support each other so that we can all do it.
Thank
Okay. So what about you, Jane?
Sort of feeling similar to Jim and Helen.
Are you contracting?
What's that?
Are you contracting in your stomach or some other places?
No.
Very personal question.
I'm in a place of financial challenge right now. But I think it's really interesting, and what I was thinking about in relation to Jim is, I'm sure that Jim, if he was in his old business model, that he wouldn't be having the challenge right now. But he's out of that model.
Yeah.
And I've sort of found every time that I feel more challenged financially, it's because there's a shift that's required of me by my higher self, is how I would describe it. Some different approach. Usually it's been about getting more and more out there into the world, because I would prefer to stay in a little cave. But I have to be out there more. And I thought, God, well, what do you want from me now? I'm on a television show, doing all these different things. How much more out there do you want me to be? Damn. It's actually more, I can feel it's an energetic shift. It's like engaging. Now it's more has to do with engaging. I'm sort of in different teams. Engaging is like my insides are more, I can't have the luxury of having my insides in a cave either.
Jane, you may have not noticed, but you've only been having the appetizer.
A lot out there.
The second meal is just about to come.
Oh, yeah.
And this is a 5-meal course.
Yeah, Jane, I really appreciate what you're saying, because I see it that way. Because I have not gone back into the field I was in that I had the success in. I am driven to do new things. And I mean, I'm very excited, and I feel this positivity that's coming back, into my life. And so I thank you, Jane, for bringing it up that way.
Yeah.
I believe that. And I mean, I'm just ready.
Yeah, actually, I feel like I need to share something from my own personal life. So my daughter, Mary, beautiful, beautiful girl. She's 28. My youngest is 26. She's 28. And she tells me this all the time. So, Dad, why don't you go back to consulting and make, hundreds of thousands of dollars like you used to, and have beautiful cars and beautiful women and all the stuff that you used to do? And I go, well, guess what? I've been there, I have done that, and I don't want any part of it that way. I've gone through all the things that I've gone through the last 8 years. I've been on this journey of becoming awake and becoming conscious, and now it's a completely different ballgame for me. And the ballgame is, I want to, of course, yes, I want to recreate, all the material things that I love and enjoy, and I have passion about, and I get pleasure from. But this time around, it's going to be in a way that those things, like my houses, my cars, don't get to own me. I get to own them. And that's really, and that's what I was trying to explain to my daughter. And she's just shaking her head. And they very much into material things and money, because guess who they learned it from? My kids.
Okay.
They learned it from me. I was an incredible teacher how to think that when you have all the things, or you have all the TVs, the houses, because that's what I did when they were growing up. I actually taught them that if you get all these things, guess what? That equals joy and happiness. So that's what I want to say. It does not.
I want to say something about this too, because I think this is also a very important thing about this show, or potential for the show, which is bringing how you might describe mainstream way of doing things together with a more conscious way of doing things. It's like more conscious people are often associated with not succeeding out in the world, and people who do succeed out in the world are often associated with not being very conscious. But it's time for there to be sort of a bringing together of all these different aspects I mean, abundance in every area, it should be connected with consciousness.
And I think
And there's
and I think we're
artificial
seeing more of a
division.
shift in that direction, which has
Yes,
been really exciting. Very
And I
exciting.
think the show can be pivotal
Yeah.
in clarifying that and bring that together.
Yeah. So let me share something else that's coming up for me right now. So when when I was making $250,000 a year, this is way back more than 10 years ago, I was a very irresponsible person in terms of money. Like, believe it or not, I didn't pay my bills. Not because I didn't have the money. I had the money, but I couldn't care less. You know, so people had to call me, 3 times, 4 times, sometimes more, and the ones that got paid are the ones that screamed the most. So, so here I am today. Today, I'm not making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but guess what? If I take care of all my bills, and if I can't take care of one, the very first thing I do is pick up that's something else I didn't used to do. If the creditors had to chase me, I wouldn't, because I was above all that, I mean, come on. I'm making $250,000. I'm not the kind of person that should be making phone calls. I mean, if you want your money, you call me, track me down, find me. That's your problem, not my problem. That's how I used to be. So what's coming out here is that arrogance that I used to have, and not that I still don't, but it's way toned down. I think it does come up and raises its ugly head once in a while, but this is the contrast, is that today I'm not making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but I pay my bills, and if I can't, I pick up the phone and call and connect with the people and say, hey, guess what? And you know what? People just love that.
They're happy to work with you.
They just go like,
Absolutely.
oh my God, we actually
they
have
are.
somebody calling us? Oh my God.
Yeah.
We don't have to call them.
You're taking responsibility.
I'm taking
That's
responsibility.
the difference.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. And guess what? That creates joy.
Yeah,
for me.
it does. For
Yeah,
you
'cause
and for everybody around you as well.
I don't have the fear, and I don't have sleepless nights like I used to have. I used to be in complete fear. Like, I went gambled all my money away, and now what I'm going to do.
So whether you have a lot of money or not enough, it's still
not
there.
about
It
that.
still
Same
has.
issue.
It's about
Yeah.
who we are
Same
being.
issue.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
All right. So, thank you for sharing, Jane, about.
I did not share mine.
Go ahead. It's your turn then.
Your turn.
Naturally.
I got to speak up, otherwise I could be left in the dust here. I was listening to actually all of you, and you said at the very beginning of this, Steve, that this wasn't about money, and it's funny, everybody got the money side into it, and it's because that's what the world goes around, is the money side of it. And I think for the past 4 years, we've had a little tap on the shoulder of the economy and what has happened to all of us including on the show, and also to our audience, and what's gone on and what is really real. People have had their houses taken away from them, and different things have happened in their financial world because of what has happened. And this has happened all over the world. We have problems in Greece, we've got problems in Spain now they're talking about France going down and under. These are all people living out there, and these are people suddenly understanding what is life really about, and what is it about? And now that this money stuff and houses is taken away, I think people are starting to look at life a little different, as of not so much, quote unquote, because I can have a large house, I'm going to have the biggest house, I don't need 5 bedrooms because I can buy a house with 5 bedrooms. I'm now going to cut down, I'm going to have a smaller house. And I think people begin to understand who they are and what they are, and their finances actually taught them that. That life can be really, really beautiful without having that big house, without having all that money. Like you said, Steve, you had all that stuff and you wouldn't pay your bills.
I don't know whether people are... I hear what you're saying, Ninon, but I see a lot of people when they have there's no money, they lose their job, or they're not looking inwards. They're not looking at themselves. They're looking to blame somebody, something, some institution, something, and the last place they're looking is actually, me. What's my part in this?
What I was getting at was they're all starting to live a different way of life because they don't have the financial side of it. So they're looking at a different way of living, a different way of understanding money and where it is and who it is and why it is and what you can do with it.
Well, I think it sort of depends on what level you're at. If you're coming from being very, very rich and now you have less money, so you can less focus on that, it might be more where you're speaking from, Ninon. If someone is just barely surviving and now they can't, that's a whole different experience. Some people in that position it would be hugely transforming, and other people it would be sort of spiraling down to just giving up.
Homelessness.
But I think that we can address all of these issues during this next season, because I think that no matter where you are financially, that we can, in the most relevant way, create a new understanding about what it actually means for each person. So,
what about you, Ninon?
A lot of people went out there and bought houses, and they didn't put any money down. It meant nothing to them. They didn't care. So those are those people. What about me and my financial situation? Oh, I've lost, I won't say how much I've lost, but yeah, I lost an awful lot of money because I am in real estate. I do real estate. I've been doing it for 35 years. And actually, this is why I'm not in Denver this weekend, is because I've got a house that's actually going through escrow. So yay, it just takes one more thing off my shoulders. Not that I'm making any money on it. Just taking one more thing off my shoulders not to worry about and getting rid of it. But this financial situation destroys somebody's insides. I haven't let it do that for myself because I've understood the business. I know the business. I know it very well. So, but people do take a different take on it. But I think that what has gone on in the last 4 years has made the majority of people understand more of life, the more of money.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I have a feeling that, and this is something, Jane, you said, is that I don't think it makes that much difference how many zeros you're talking about.
Right.
The issues are the same because, for example, Ninon is like a perfect example, walking the talk. I mean, she lived in a beautiful home in Hollywood Hills. You know, I don't know how much it's worth, probably millions. Doesn't matter. But you have made the move. You moved because you made that conscious choice, and you're being responsible and accountable for your present and for your future. So you moved into a smaller house. I mean,
I have a beautiful home.
That's walking the talk.
But it's smaller. Yeah, it's much smaller, and it's like understanding where you're at in the moment. And I understood where I was at in the moment of what do I want to continue this and not sleep at night and wake up and all this crazy stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. I've never done that in my life. So I don't want to have that problem. So to not have that problem is to solve the problem. In other words, be a little humble.
But then I think to address
that Ninon has a certain amount of mastery in relation to finances, where you can make I can see that. You're sort of grounded about it. You just make a very sensible choice, and there isn't any sort of angst connected to it.
Nothing.
You still
There's nothing connected to any of my finances. It's very clear to me what it is. And my husband was my greatest teacher, and I will give it all to him because he taught me very, very well. And finances is a matter of what the bottom line is, what all these expenses are, what have you got at the bottom. That's your main part. That's all that really matters. What is happening? Do you stay there? Do you leave it? Be conscious of what it is. And if you have to leave, leave.
And then for those people where it's more than just logistics, because I think there's many more people where logistics is the least of it, then we can help them with different tools and different perspectives and different life experience so that they can feel better about whatever it is that they are dealing with. Because I think that's the key, beyond the logistics, in terms of, you know, how we can, you know, model for them.
Yeah.
Well, you're absolutely right, Steve. I just want to clear one thing about what Steve said. And Steve said, you know, it's exactly the same as what Jane said. You've got the very rich up here. Yes, I've lived in a 7,000 square foot home in Bel Air. I've had, you know, from soup to nuts. I've had it all, and it really doesn't make any difference whether you've got all those zeros there or whether you've only got 1 zero. It all actually is exactly the same. Instead of my light bill being $400 a month instead of $20 a month, it's the same thing for each person. It's just a matter of zeros, and you're right, Steve.
Yeah, I think what we've been trying to do in the previous seasons and continue now is to move towards centeredness and groundedness. Yeah, and balance. So that's needed. In fact, maybe it's even needed more when it's a totally materialistic life, and now you're being given the opportunity to re-examine. And that's your story, and that's the story of every one of us, really. So that is what we can help with beyond just the finances, is to go deeper and help ourselves and the viewers examine what a life is that's more rich, more full.
And abundant.
And abundant.
Absolutely.
Because the abundance comes, you know what? The peace of mind doesn't come after the abundance. Peace of mind first and abundance comes. Same way with gratitude.
It has to do with understanding where the source of everything comes from. And so the whole world is shifting about that. People believe that the source was the bank, the government, the the military, whatever caused the safety. And as these things sort of fall apart, you lose your home, you lose whatever it is that you've been leaning on as the stability. Then you have to go deeper to a deeper source of abundance where there really is stability. And that's where the focus is having to shift the whole world.
In the meantime, you have to live.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the thing, because that's what keeps people paralyzed in fear of change, in doing anything different to what they've been doing and what they recognize. You know, it's getting out of your comfort zone, because your comfort zone is not where you're going to grow or make any changes.
Right.
However, it's frightening to do that.
Right, people don't change. You don't jump off the cliff until the tiger is chasing you. And that's what's happening.
Right.
The tiger is chasing.
I just went from a very large home to a smaller home. I don't care what anybody says. You know, look at her. And I'm not going to judge. I don't care what they say. And if I have to do what I have to do, and if that's what I have to do, that's okay with me. I'm not going to worry about what other people are they going to talk about me and say, oh, this has happened. It doesn't make any difference to me. I have to do what I have to do. And I think more people should be that way.
And what you're saying, Ninon, actually is what we talked about before, is responsibility.
Yes,
you took responsibility. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's about people actually taking responsibility, first of all, for themselves. And then the money, in a way, is a byproduct of that.
Yes.
Well, it's really integrity.
Yeah.
And when we're in integrity with ourselves and with our community and with each other, then all of a sudden, I think that's where the breakthroughs occur. And we have opportunities to be in integrity every moment in our lives. It's not like some place to get to. We can do it like right now. Like the fact that Ninon, you made a choice not to be here and take care of your personal life, which is more important. And I can see and I can appreciate why you're not here, because that's a big deal. That's something you got to handle. And you know, when a buyer shows up and you're ready to sell, it's not easy to sell real estate these days.
Not at that price. It's a high price, and it's
not
tough.
right now. So when that's happening, I can see how that becomes that raises to the top of your list, and it's not a problem.
It's a choice you make. You have to make a choice.
It's a powerful choice you make,
and you have to make the right choice for yourself.
Yes,
and sometimes you feel selfish about that. You feel shouldn't really be doing this, but I've got to do what I've got to do.
And at first, it didn't make me happy that you're not going to be here. But guess what?
Are you happy now?
I am happy now. I get it. I get it because guess what? What I want from you is for you to be happy. And for you to be happy is to take care of what you need to take care of right now, and that's not being here. That's clear to me.
I'm not being there, but I am there. Actually, I am in my kitchen, and I am with all of you. So
and at the same time, So here's what's coming up for me right now. Another thing is I acknowledged all of you, and I'm not going to acknowledge myself. Okay, so I'm going to ask one of you, whoever wants to do that, to complete the whole circle, because
I think Jane should do it.
I think we need to do it.
Jane.
So acknowledge your how you showed up. Yes. Okay.
Just acknowledge me, Jane.
Well, the thing is, I've said this so many times because it just comes up in my face a lot. Is that the way I perceive you, Steve, as revealing your humanness, and what shines through is how strongly you are guided, how strongly your guidance is, and you don't mind appearing imperfect, or even as an asshole. So
Did
say
Jane
how it is.
say that?
God, it's a good thing we're on cable TV.
I'm not sure what you can say and what you can't say. But you don't mind, showing what's not conscious about yourself, because underneath it there is a very, very conscious part that always emerges. And if you're upset or angry at someone for something, when we get through to the bottom of what's really true, you'll always emerge in your most conscious self. So, and you do talk about, how you've gotten there. You've gotten through a very, well, okay, so how did you get there? Right now, you are on a very, very conscious track, and you have created this amazing show that's going to be even more and more amazing, brought together people who are just totally right for this show. You're doing an amazing thing. I'm awestruck a lot of the time How did you get there? Of course, I know.
Well, so yeah, that's very good. I thought I was going to have to prompt you, but I don't. You can just fly on your own. I love it. So, so one of the challenges that I guess I would like to share is, I have many, but probably the biggest one that comes to me right now is really that moment when I finally have accomplished spending every penny I had gambling in a casino. And I felt probably the darkest moment of my life, probably the bottom, the very, very bottom that I felt that I could get to. And that there was no deeper place to go than where I just got myself, because not did I just felt disappointed of myself that this is what I've created, that this is how I, what is this, a punishment of myself? It was the darkest moment of my life that I also felt that all these people, like my kids, my grandkids, all the people that love me, and this is what I've created, I created this thing called I'm completely broke, and I don't even know what the hell am I going to do tomorrow. And I'm sitting there in my BMW, beautiful black 745i, $80,000 car, and the thoughts that go through me is, okay, so how about if I just turn the engine on and I just press on the gas pedal and I just go down the mountains? All this will be over, it will be really easy for me, if I don't want to experience this again tomorrow, that's a really good way to end it, And the next thought that came up for me is, okay, so there is an alternative. And then I got connected to the love of myself, loving myself, and the love of my kids. And what a cruel thing would it be if I really pressed on the gas pedal. Because what I created can really be fixed, and it's up to me. Nobody else can help me to fix what I created, only I could. And that gave me encouragement and power, and I said, okay, so tomorrow...
We're now 3 minutes.
Tomorrow, thank you. Tomorrow when I get up, okay, I'm done. I'm done with gambling, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this thing called Real Coaching Radio and TV Network, and I'm going to express this all over the world, and I'm going to get into the business of helping people to express themselves. And that's what I wanted to share. So
thank you for doing it. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
That is so beautiful, Steve, and we are able to share it with you. That is so beautiful, and we're all here wanting to share it.
3 minutes.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Awesome. All right. So in closing, I just wanted to really thank everybody. I think as our viewers watching us, and they're going, okay, so what are these guys up to? So we're up to some incredible things this season. We're going to be more expressive. We're going to be more connected to each other, to ourselves. We're going to be able to share ourselves more deeply. I believe we're up to really opening up and connecting not just to ourselves, to our team members, but also to the viewers. So what we're going to be asking you is to get involved with us on social media. We want you to get really involved with us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Living Consciously TV. And let's get this whole social movement going, because I feel that what we're up to can change the world one person at a time. It certainly has changed me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so are you guys up to all that?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We're up to it.
All right, fantastic. So I think our time is well spent today. I want to thank all of our cast members, all of the crew. Certainly a lot of people showed up today to assist us. So thank you very much, everybody here in the studio, also behind the glass, all of our viewers, and of course, we love you all. And don't be shy to come to www.livingconsciously.tv, our website, and interact with us as well. But primarily, let's just push Facebook. Hey, almost 1 billion people will be on Facebook before you know it. So let's just gather there. And other than that, we love you all, and we will see you next week, same time, same place, live from Denver, Colorado, our studio. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you.
Thank you.